Welcome to this edition of When the Biomass Hits the Wind Turbine, a discussion of sustainable living and what that means to you and me, coming to you from WOUB Radio, Studio B. I'm Jay Warmke.
I'm Annie Warmke.
Just this morning.
For today.
And we're joined today by Emily Elam.
Spit it out, Jay.
Emily Elam. I was going to have trouble with the last name, but I had trouble with the first name.
Yes.
And she is Community Development AmeriCorps member with the Sustainable Agriculture Program at Rural Action. So you actually need two business cards just to hold your title on there.
Well, when you have a title like that, it means you're paid almost nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing.
Yeah, right.
It's like the bank, vice president in charge of nothing.
There you are.
Everything.
So you have all the responsibility and none of the resources, right?
Aww.
Okay. So yeah, she's going to be political.
Just be nice because she's got politics
all
here.
All right. So we're going to talk about the non-political local produce auction.
Oh, it's very political, I assure you. Okay. There's Amish involved. Okay. You got to be political when there's Amish.
Not a chance. Okay, so before Annie decides to dominate the conversation here, I'm going to ask Emily. Emily, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, how you got into this program, and what your goals and ambitions are to halt global warming, right?
Wow. Well, I grew up in Dayton, Ohio, in the inner city, went to public schools. I was really interested in the arts, and I pursued that in college afterwards there. But I felt like the world was changing a lot, and I really wanted to be more, I wanted to contribute more to the health of communities and things. And I had a friend who went to Hawking College here in Southeast Ohio to join the agroecology program. And I decided to enroll as well. And it really changed my life. It really opened my eyes. Now I had such a better sense of, what needed to be done for community health, but also global health, and how I could contribute in my own small way. And so I finished my degree there, and I left for a little while. I went up north and lived in Youngstown, of all places, for a while.
Oh boy. That'll send you packing.
Yeah. And I was like, gosh, I really miss Athens County and everybody down there. So I found out about AmeriCorps, and I had heard about Rural Action in the past, and I got really lucky to get involved. And now the Chester Hill Produce Auction is my host site. And I work with local farmers all the time, and I'm constantly learning about the land, and it's really, really wonderful. Yeah.
So how about if you could talk to us a little bit about Chester Hill Produce Auction and what's the purpose of it, and how does it benefit those local farmers?
Yeah. So the Chester Hill Produce Auction, it's a social enterprise of Rural Action, but it operates as a rural food hub here. So there's different ways you can describe that, but essentially here people gather, farmers from Southeast Ohio and in West Virginia. They bring their the food that they grow on their farms, and twice a week we have regular auctions where anyone from the community can come and get bulk or small lots of fresh local food that they likely couldn't get otherwise, being far enough from the city that they don't really have farmers markets up here. And so it's great for the community in that way, for our community members and institutions, but the farmers themselves have the opportunity to sell here where they may not have that chance otherwise, being such a small community. We work with the Plain community a lot, and this is kind of a cooperative development that we had with them to give them the chance to share what they do, and it's really, really wonderful. I growing up in the city, I'd never seen anything like it. Really, there's just so much beautiful food and community, and yeah.
Well, let me just jump in and give a little bit of history here. Yeah. So the auction's really been in place since about I think the first auction 2005, maybe it was 2006 anyway. And really, in those days, which is a long time ago, really, if you think about it, there weren't very many farmers markets. There's a lot more now, which is great for small communities, but there wasn't access for the Amish community and a lot of poverty. And so there was a family that bought land and they built the beginning of the auction building. And then eventually they sold it to Rural Action, to Chester Hill Produce Auction, because they were getting elderly and I think tired. But it has always been a kind of cooperative, collective, if you will, but it brought a lot of people out of poverty. It has. I mean, all you have to do is drive down Wagner Road and all around that area, and you can see where people have expanded the size of their homes or built other homes so that they weren't all living in the same house. You can see barns and high tunnels and greenhouses and lumber operations. This all came as the result of Chester Hill Produce Auction. And one of the things about the auction that's really powerful is that you're not supposed to really sell individually. So if I'm going to sell at the auction, I sell at the auction. If I buy a lot of things, I'm not supposed to say, oh, you just need one, I'll sell you one. So it is that collective, cooperative operation that we're supposed to support. And lots of us do sell and buy there, depending on what it is we're selling and buying. And one of the things that's exciting now, which isn't necessarily the produce auction, but it's come out of those ideas with it being an auction and not a, premium price, is these hubs that are starting, there's an herb hub and some other kinds of medicinal herb. I think it's medicinals. But anyway, because they just got in touch with me about buying mint from me. And so it's really amazing. They're paying $25 a pound dried.
Wow.
Yeah. I was like, oh, hello. And they don't have anybody to meet the need. And I have tons. So there's a lot of really cool stuff happening as the result of Chester Hill Produce Auction coming alive in 2005, 2006.
Well, I think one of the things I've noticed from going there, just a couple of things to maybe spur some thoughts. It also seems to be an entertainment center for a lot of folks who just come and watching. Oh yeah.
No,
It's becoming a little bit of a mini tourist attraction to that, because you get to see people who actually like farm, like they're like in a zoo or something, and then
it's aggravating though. All these people, they don't buy anything and they take all the seats and you can't see what's going on. And you just like go visit, as my grandma would say, visit, sit in the parking lot like we did during COVID.
Well, but there's also a growing number of people who are buying for collectives as well. So you see that where it's not just individual purchasers, but they're coming in, like the community food initiatives is one. I know Rural Action has a buying club type thing. So if you can't get out there, you can just say, I'll pay up to this and they'll take care of it for you. And there may be other ones, they're oftentimes you can't tell except one guy's buying, truckloads of stuff. So who knows where
maybe going. She could explain a little bit about how those work, because I don't know what the order buying program is, but just tell us a little bit about each one of them and how they work. And then I'd really like to talk about school days and harvest days and pie day.
Great. Yeah. Well, I will say first that the Chester Hill Produce Auction website is a great place to learn about all these things. If you want more information, you can check it out there. But so I'm pretty involved with at the end of the auction, helping divide up all the food that the Rural Action buys for different programs. So we do have the buying club, which is kind of like a CSA, which Annie mentioned. At the beginning of the season, people can go online and sign up for to receive a bag every week of local produce. And it's seasonal, so you get what's in at the moment. And the bags are really full. I help to pack them. There's like a half peck, a peck and then a half bushel, so you can get a really big box if you want. Then order buying is more, you do this through the Chester Hill Produce Auction website, where you can just buy something for the week. You can go in there and submit an order and say, I want, I want a flat of blueberries and I only want to pay this much per pint. And someone here will buy on your behalf if they can get those blueberries for that price, So a lot of restaurants will do that if they want to get, blueberries just for a special that they're having, some kind of pancakes they're making or something. And we also buy for medical institutions. There's one here in Athens County called the Hopewell Health Centers, if you've heard of them. We have a program called Produce Prescriptions, where people will be prescribed a bag of produce by a doctor to help with their health, rather than a medication or something. And so
wow, that's cool. That's really cool.
I know, it's so cool.
Revolutionary. Wow.
I know. I love it. We do it with Hopewell here in Athens, and then in West Virginia, it's Copeland Health Centers, which I haven't been there, and I'm not as familiar with them, but I personally go to Hopewell, but yeah, that's another one of our programs that we do. So
Hopewell is just a bunch of doctors that have a practice, and then some of them are that progressive that they think food is medicine. That's a communist, isn't it?
No, I think
I don't know.
I don't
know.
Hippocratic.
Oh,
I think the Hippocratic, what's his name, Hippocrates or something. He said, "Let food be your medicine." So.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know all the details, but I know that that's something that we do. And every week, we load up all these bags into our giant box truck or a small Chester Hill produce, fridge van, and they get distributed throughout the week to these
That's so great.
institutions and pickup sites.
Really
it's really,
great.
really cool.
Yeah. So tell us about the harvest days and school days. Have you done that yet? Have you been involved in that yet?
I was part of school days this year. I didn't help organize it per se. That was another service member. But I was here.
Wait 1 minute. So what's a service member? We're going to have to take a station break, but what's a service member? Because you haven't mentioned that.
Okay.
What is that?
Well, and along with a lot of other people here at the auction and Enroll Action, we're AmeriCorps service members. So we have signed up for a term of national service with the AmeriCorps Association. And it's different. We're given a living stipend, and we have a year committed to serve with a organization, a program, and help them either with capacity building, which is as a VISTA AmeriCorps member, right. Mm-hmm. Or as an AORC, an Appalachian Ohio Restore Corps member, which is what I am. We do more kind of the labor behind the scenes and heavy lifting per se. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. Well, Emily, before you get into what the school days are and harvest days, let me just remind everybody you're listening to When the Biomass Hits the Wind Turbine with Jay and Annie Warmke, coming to you from Studio B, WOUB Radio in Athens, Ohio, reminding you it is indeed the end of the world as we know it.
Thank God.
And thank God. There you go. So, all right, Emily, you're going to tell us how you're doing your little bit to end the world as we know it. So, so what is this school days, harvest days? I know Pi Day, but what's the deal with these things?
So both school days and harvest days are programs that we have here at the Chester Hill Produce Auction that invites classes from local schools like Morgan County schools and even some like Nelsonville, York, and they can come and hang out for the day. We have different activities. So for school days, I was a part of that this year. We had a variety of stations that the classes would be split up and they'd go around. We had a station where we learned about worms and the importance of composting, and we planted sunflower seeds. And then we had a station, it was a mock auction where the students had the opportunity to participate in a mini produce auction. So they would, have their buying number, and then there's little half pecks around, and there's an auctioneer who volunteers to run that station. And then we have a station with Live Healthy Kids where they demonstrate a healthy recipe. This year they made salads with produce from the auction, and a really nice raspberry vinaigrette. So they learned about the food that was involved, they helped make it, and then they had a little sample of the food. We had a bug catching station, so they learned about, the importance of bugs in an ecosystem and how to identify them a little bit. And then at lunchtime, we had with Rural Action, they came and they talked, how to sort your trash properly. Like, we've got recycling, we've got composting, and then there's, unfortunately, the landfill, and like learning what goes where and how you can, there's the 4 R's now. It's like reduce, reuse, recycle, and then now there's rethink. So you can rethink how waste, is involved in your life, and how can you mitigate that. So school days was really, really fun. I can't wait for next year. Harvest Days is, this will be the second year that the produce auction has done it. And I've been involved helping plan that. We've created a corn maze out here. I'm looking at it right now, actually. We partnered with the forestry program to use the GIS system, which I wish I knew more of the proper lingo for that. But basically, we had a map that looked like a giant sunflower, and they were able to use that. We had a map on our phones, and we could use a little walk behind BCS to cut the corn maze. So we're still working on it, but we're hoping to have someone come out with a drone so they can get up there and take a video of people walking through. It'll be sunflowers and vines. I'm very excited about it. So we'll have a corn maze, but we're making yard Jenga sets out of old pallet wood that kids can play with. We're going to have little cornhole boards. We have a pumpkin patch, and pumpkin bowl.
A giant chair.
Yes.
That is the goofiest thing. Giant chair.
Yeah. So great opportunities to take pictures. We have like some photo props this year. I'm hoping to make you can be a chicken or a goat, and it'll be really cute. And then we'll have hay rides, and we're hoping this year will be a bit larger. We're opening it to the public on certain days, so we'll be announcing that sometime soon. So you can come out with your family if you'd like. But we also do these programs for schools, and we arrange days for them to come out as a field trip. And yeah, it's really cool.
Well, it sounds like all of these things, in addition to being a resource for local farmers, now it's becoming essentially a resource for the community. And those people who aren't familiar with this region, it is Appalachia in the truest sense of the word. I mean, it definitely has a lot of economic needs. And this is nice that this produce auction is becoming sort of the anchor tenant for the other activities that are beginning to take place there. It's just how you get started in transforming a community. So,
well,
Absolutely.
The thing is, too, one of the things that we used to talk a lot about when we started organizing Pi Day many, many moons ago, was the fact that it's a venue, and it could be. Well, I wanted to have solar panels on top, and I was on the advisory group in the beginning, and there was a man who just went after me so hard about how stupid that was, and there's no future on solar. And I was like, wait, my husband just wrote a book on it. Yes, there is. And but anyway,
must be right.
It must be right. He knows everything. Just ask him. So, but anyway, the thing that I thought about, which is still true, is they could have, especially the Amish, have lots of reunions. Lots of traditional families in Appalachia, particularly in that region, have reunions. We could have harvest breakfasts and raise money. There could be square dancing, although the Amish didn't want any music if we had a breakfast. Finally, one of the Hirschbergers said, all right, Annie, I'll give in this time. But then we didn't end up doing it. So that was disappointing. I wanted to see his face when people were playing fiddle music. But anyway, so it is a destination, and I know more and more you see people there that are visiting, looking at what's going on, or just seeing, learning about it. And I'm wondering, what could somebody do to get involved as a volunteer, or to sell or buy at the produce auction, and how would that work? What's the process?
Yeah. Well, again, I think a good first step is to check out the website. That gives you a good overall perspective, on what to expect. But you can, in order to buy or sell for your first time, you can just come to the auction. There's a calendar online that you can see when we're here. But when you arrive, you'll come to the office and you get a number, and that will be your buyer and seller number. So if you'd like to sell something that day, once you have your number, myself and other service members will be here. We can check you in. You'll get, we'll write you up an invoice and give you a tag for your items, and wait for the auction to begin. And similarly, for if you want to, if you're here to buy, you'll get your number, and you can either buy from the big lots, which is where you'll have, if you want to buy 5 flats of tomatoes versus a small, quart of cherry tomatoes, you would go to the big lot side, and then we have another auctioneer who does smaller lots if you just want something for your kitchen that day, for your dinner. So, and in order, when you're here, if you want to ask about volunteering, you can do it that way. We really love help. We're short of hands a lot of times.
What would that person do if they signed up?
Yeah. Well, there's so many things that they could help with. I would probably give them some choices when they came. But one of the things I do is I police the produce during the auction to make sure, people, as the auction's going on, they don't take the wrong items. We check their receipt with the tags, and we help them load their vehicles up with, if they bought yesterday or Monday, we had someone buy like 50 pumpkins, and we helped her put them in her minivan. So we, carrying produce around, checking tickets. And at the end, if you wanted to stay after the auction, you could help us pack the buying club bags and the produce prescriptions, and help us load up the vehicles. So any help would be welcome, and it would give you a really good opportunity to get a close look at what we do. And if you volunteer for 3 hours, you actually get a free membership with Rural Action. So you'd have access to more resources there, and we could let you know about more information.
Okay, before we leave the topic, though, let's talk about Pi Day. Isn't that
Yeah.
coming up? That was the whole reason I said, let's do a podcast with you, to see if could we
Oh, yeah.
generate something you could use for Pi Day.
Yes, thank you. I'm actually supposed to reach out to you soon, Annie, so we can talk about a plan for this year. But it's kind of my project that I'll be leading, and I wasn't here for last year, so it'll be my first opportunity. But we raise money for our school programs like School Day at the CPA and Harvest Days through the fundraiser that is Pi Day. It's in October on the 9th. And we take donations from community members and local restaurants who are bakers who make really delicious pies. And we have them all out here. And we have judges, I believe. And
I think everybody's a judge. So the way it started was, I wanted to do it because I thought it would be great to show off the amazing work that people do and what comes from the farms. And so I wasn't clear that it would go over well, because a lot of things I suggested, I was the only woman, and then there were the Amish men. And so I decided to go to the Amish women, and say, what do you think about if we just did this day where we just had pies, and then we see if people like it? And the women really loved it. They stood in the corner, and I'm sure, gossiped heavily about what was there and what was good and what wasn't. And then I went around. So this was my focus group. And then I said, what do you think if we charged money and we raised money, and they were like, yeah, this was fun. We think we should do this. Yeah. So I had their buy-in, and they're the ones that, sleep with the guys. So they got them to buy in. And that's how it all got started. But so
thus civilization moves forward, right?
Yes. So well, you got to make it their idea. That's what I learned from goats. But anyway, what we would do, and they still do this, is there would be a bag at each pie, and the person would bring 2 pies, one to sell and one for tasting. And you would pay a small fee, and then you walk around with a plate, and you put little bits of pie from many places, and then you have little tickets, and you vote for the pie that you like. And I know one year there was somebody that I thought really deserved. She was a country woman and had a hard life, and she made sugar pie, which reminded me of my mother-in-law, who was a farm woman. So I bought all my tickets and I put them in her bag, and she won. I would love to talk to you about her, because I'd like to have the pie award be her name. I have her original pie in her own handwriting, because she taught a class for me. Anyway, so Pie Day is great.
Yes.
And it's fun. And everybody should come on October the 9th, right?
Yep.
And taste delicious pie. All of it's delicious. And then bring their checkbook and write big checks, because I love to bid up the pies. I'm good at it. I hardly ever get stuck.
Okay, so Emily, you've got about a minute and a half to finish this up and let us know, anything else you want to share about the activities there.
Well, as we were talking about, I think the Chester Hill Produce Auction is becoming more and more of a destination for the community and larger region of Ohio and Appalachia. I think we're right in the middle of farmland here and farm community, and it's a great way to get perspective on, returning back to the land and living and communing with that and sustainably. And not, giving returns to the earth as you yield from it. And it's a very inspiring place to be. It's a very beautiful landscape. So I hope whoever's listening is inspired to come out here. And if you ever have any questions, you can reach out through the Rural Action or Chester Hill Produce Auction websites, and we'd be happy to have you around.
If there's another community out there that wants to maybe replicate what's been going on, can they contact Rural Action and you guys will tell them all of the gory details?
Yeah, I think that's what we would like for sure, is food hubs to pop up all over the country if possible. And if we could be a model for that, that would be cool. That'd be great.
All right. Well, thanks a lot. You've been listening to When the Biomass Hits the Wind Turbine with Jay and Annie Warmke, coming to you from Studio B, WOUB Radio in Athens. We want to thank our guests today, Emily Elam, and we want to thank our ever-present, always producing Emmy Award-winning producer, Adam Rich. We want to thank you for spending just a little bit of time with us. And as your grandmother hopefully told you, the secret to a happy and sustainable life is...
play nice with others, clean up your own mess, and eat your veggies, and go to the produce auction Monday or Thursday at 4:00.
Your produce from the Chester Hill Produce Auction. All right. Until next time. All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.